This is Mira Kelly, and I'm so excited for the conversation we're going to have today with Traci Porterfield. We are really going to be speaking about love, about relationships, about the joy of opening your heart and expanding into the dream of love, the dream of being the woman you dream of becoming. And so, hello, hi Traci. Hello.
Thank you for having me on here. I'm so excited to talk with you about this, my favorite topic to talk about.
You have such wealth of experience, so many stories to share, so much valuable information. And I'm really thrilled. I'm really thrilled for the value we're going to deliver to people. And maybe we should start off by talking about you so that we fall in love with you and your story. So dive us into, how did you get to be an elite matchmaker? How did you end up here?
I know, but an interesting path. And my degree is in psychology, so I've always been fascinated by what makes people tick. And I started my career in human resources recruiting, and so I was helping people find jobs throughout each career. My last position in corporate America was with Tony Robbins, and so I was a VP for him for 4.5 years. And when you're in that environment, first of all, I'm passionate about personal development and growth and being the best person that you can be. And when you're in that environment, it's like times 100, right? It's like everybody around you is like that. You're called out on your stories. You're always thinking, how can you be better? What areas of your life are you ignoring? What stories are you telling yourself? You're in this space with all these people that believe the same thing. And it's beautiful, and it pushes you to be the best version of yourself. And even a few times on the exec team, there were 8 of us. We were assigned books to read and homework assignments to turn in, and in addition to your regular work. So
Yeah.
you're constantly looking at yourself and growing, and I think that's such a unique space to be in. And I remember even thinking at some of the exec team meetings, I'm the dumbest person in the room, which is exactly what you want to be, right? You want to be surrounded by people that are bringing out the best in you, that are helping you stretch. And also in that environment, the question that we're all asked is like, what do I want my life to look like? What am I great at? What am I passionate about? So you have that running in your head all the time because of the environment that you're in. And so when I was working there, I also went through a divorce, and I had a 3-year-old son at the time. He was 3, and I was in this space of fear. I was in like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? How I'm going to be a single mom. I'm going to have a big mortgage. I don't know what's on the other side, but all I knew was that I wasn't happy, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't like nothing tragic happened within there. It just was in friendship. And so you decide, for anybody that's been in a marriage and ends in friendship, or it's just there, and I think a lot of people stay there. I wasn't willing to stay there. I didn't want my relationship to just be a friendship.
Yes.
And you have to be brave, right? You have to find that courage to say, I want something more, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to do it. And so I went through my divorce, and I honestly don't know that I would have had the courage to step into that space if I hadn't been around the people that I was around, had the tools that I had to say, okay, I'm going to go and change my life because I want something more, and I don't know what it's going to look like. And when I did, though, I went back out in the dating world. So I'm back out in the dating world. I'm a massive extrovert. I am a recruiter my entire life. And I just thought, maybe I'll get a boyfriend. And guess what? It did not work like that. And I am a person that will do anything and everything. I did every online site there was. You name it, I did it. Every person I talked to, I'm single. Who do you know? I'm single. Who do you know? I gave my Match.com profile out to the brokers that came into the business. Like, who do you know? Like, here you go. Because I was so determined. Like, I didn't have that a block of any sort of like how I was going to find him. But what I was finding was frustration because I wasn't finding what I wanted, and it was so much more difficult. It was challenging. I found myself in like an unfamiliar territory when I had expectations of what I thought was going to happen, and it didn't look like that, and I didn't know what to do. So I just, what Tony Robbins says, just change your approach. If that doesn't work, what do you do? Change your approach. If that doesn't work, what do you do? Change your approach. You have to keep changing until you find something that works. And so I ended up going to a dating agency, matchmaking company, and just to check it out and see, like, well, what is this all about? I've never done this and I'm not finding. And when I went there, I left with like, I could do it better than this. I could do it better than this. That said, though, I paid thousands of dollars to one of them because I'm a high risk, high reward kind of person. And I thought, what if they have my soulmate? What if they have my soulmate? You never know, right? And so I paid a lot of money, and it was a terrible experience. And I only had 3 matches from the entire thing that were not matches at all in any capacity. And I learned, I'm like, okay, this is a need, right? This is a women, men, whoever, both need, I believe, need a place to go that they can have a person. This person can teach them. This person cares about them. This person will truly pay attention to matches and not just push numbers together and so forth. I don't know if you've ever had any experiences like that, Mira. Have you?
Yes, exactly what you're speaking of. I did actually hire a matchmaker once, and it was the most disappointing experience ever. Absolutely. I know what you're talking about. Exactly as you're saying. It was just about checking off a box.
And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. But what I choose to learn from that is, okay, I was trying it, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying. You have to try it.
Yeah.
But what I did, what came out of that is my business. Because you know what? If it's not out there, and I believe that people need this hand holding in this space. It's a very vulnerable space.
Yeah.
And you really have to look at yourself. And so I built my business based on what I wanted, and I wasn't getting. So I took that as that was my path that was being unfolded in front of me, and so I had to go through all these steps. I had to go through the pain. I had to go through the understanding of what it feels like to be a single mom, a big mortgage, working full time, trying to date. Like there's a lot going on. And so I started my business based on that. I started based on what I thought people needed. And in addition to Tony Robbins, I talk about him a lot because he truly changed the trajectory of my life, of helping me get to where I am now. And I also was on the leadership team, senior leadership team for Deepak Chopra for 8.5 years.
Yeah.
That is another gift. I can't even explain what a gift that was. And they called me. They called me because they knew that I was on the exec team for Tony, and they said, "Would you come over and help us out?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm not looking for a job. I had, started my company," and I'm like, "This is Deepak Chopra. This is Deepak Chopra. Like, I have to go. Like, who am I kidding? I'm going." So I told I would give them 2 days a week, and I was thinking it would just be for a short period of time. 8.5 years I was there. And there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. And I'm sure you've probably done Deepak's work yourself. I went to one of his programs, Perfect Health, and it was, for me, a game changer. Here's another game changer. And that's when I learned meditation, which I didn't really know meditation before. I mean, maybe I was a crisis meditator or something, but I wasn't a meditator. I'm not type A, and I worked in Los Angeles, and I had a lot to get done. And I don't have time for that. And I'm up at 5:30 and do my emails and rush around, got to get to the gym. And I lived my life like a crazy person, but I didn't know I was crazy. I just thought that's how life was, right?
Yes.
And so when I got to Deepak's world, and I started learning that, I learned meditation. I learned so many tools that helped me understand why relationships hadn't worked in the past and who I was. And when you don't know who you are or why you think a certain way, you allow another person to make you wrong. So I'm going to give you a silly example, but it was a very real one for me. I had one other significant relationship since my divorce, and that one was actually much harder to get out of, and deep, deep lessons, painful lessons. And what I learned from Deepak helped me understand myself. And so I think that it is a journey to understanding yourself. And when you get really clear there, you can step into the space of finding love. So back to my example, so my other relationship with my boyfriend back then, ex-boyfriend now, I literally sold my house and everything in it and moved in with him because everything he had was better than mine.
Yeah.
So in the back of my mind, as I'm doing all of this, I'm thinking, I should just put some stuff in storage. Just put something in storage. And I ignored it. You know when you ignore that voice, oh my gosh, don't ignore that voice. Like that voice is so powerful. I ignored it. And I sold my house and I sold everything in it. And I took my son out of his school. I have one son. And moved him into the school of the new house. And guess what? It's a wrong relationship. A few years later, wrong relationship. The point that I was going to make is that his house, I didn't like it. It's this, multi-million-dollar house. I didn't feel good in there.
Yeah.
I didn't know why. I just didn't. And he would be like, how can you're ungrateful? Like, how can you not like this? Like everything is like, it's fantastic here. Everything's imported from Italy, and it's fancy and all of that. I wasn't my thing. What I learned from Deepak in Perfect Health is when I learned the doshas there for the first time.
Yeah.
And the dosha part of knowing your mind, body constitution. And I am a lot of vata. I need air. I need light. I need bright. And I was in a house that was very heavy. It was very stone, very thick. It was like, but I didn't know why I didn't like it. I just felt like I couldn't breathe when I was in there.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the tools.
Yes.
I couldn't explain it. And so since I couldn't explain it, and I couldn't understand myself, I couldn't explain it to somebody else. And they see it as they see the world, and just say, you are ungrateful. Whatever the term was, that probably wasn't the term.
Yeah.
But it's back to knowing like who you are, right? And as you go along and you get to these pain points in searching for love, those wrong people teach you so much about who you are, so you can have the right person come in. But if you stay in the anger, if you stay in the place of you're wrong and you treated me like this and you did that and you shouldn't have said that, you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself. And so I went through a lot of pain to getting into that, getting out of it, all the lessons, feeling guilty about my son and losing him, and there's a lot of things. And I learned so much that I take all of that. I take Tony Robbins, I take Deepak Chopra, I take all my personal lessons in dating and everything along the way, all the lessons. I've had my matchmaking business for almost 11 years now, and I've seen it all. I've seen like the patterns that people do that are right, the patterns that they do that are wrong and self-sabotaging, the walls that they put up. I see them chip the walls down slowly. When I went to my first client's wedding and he said, I owe all this to you, I'm like, oh my God, like this is why I do it. Like they found each other. And so it's just been a journey of all those tools. And now my passion is really helping. I still have men clients and help them find love in their life. And I am also extremely passionate about helping women be their best self and understand the lessons that have come along the way to step into the space of allowing the love to come in that's something that's lasting. Because once you find a relationship, then you kick into a different gear. And I see a lot of people put so much effort into finding their person, and then they just go into autopilot. And that's not, you can't do that. You won't have it. You won't have what you have right at the beginning if you just go on autopilot. So it's a lot of that too.
That is so very true. Just listening to you, I have to tell you, if I were looking for love, you will be my person because literally I'll be like, you have to be on my team, right? Because you combine I'm gonna use all of my do skills, which is very important in this world, right? To know how to do, because it seems to me through your journey, you've done all the things we shouldn't do, right? But so you know what works, but also you spoke so beautifully of listening to the voice of our soul, listening to what's right for us, getting to know what's right for us, and of course, in order to teach somebody that, you listen along with them, right? So you, like you were saying, you recognize all the patterns, you know where to make an impact, you know how to contribute. That's really the reason why I'm so excited that we're doing this event together, right? The Bullseye Love Experience, because you provide extraordinary experience, both you and Taylor, and everything that I bring to the table. I know it's going to be life changing for people. But before we even go into that, because I definitely want to extend the invitation for people to join us in November 9th and 10th here in LA. But before we go into what we're going to do and how we're going to guide people so that they literally become your matchmaking client, right? I want to hear more about the success stories and what really unlocked people, right? Because I feel like as we hear the stories of other people who have overcome themselves, that always allows us to say, oh, did you hear that? And I'm going to do the same for myself, right? So,
It's true, and I have watched that unfold over time. And I want to touch back base one more time on a lesson that was super important that I got from Perfect Health, and it's really important in the dating space. Is Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. I'm sure
mm-hmm,
you've read that. It's like
mm-hmm,
one of my favorites. Deepak's Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. I've worked through those steps myself personally, and then I think that it's such an easy read. I tell everybody to read it, and the principles are so simple, and, and but there's two of them that stand out in my mind that I want to touch on real quick because this applies to the dating space, and these were probably the toughest for me to get. One is the law of giving and receiving, and that seems so simple, right? But what I really took from it, from going to Perfect Health, was here's the law of giving and receiving, right? Here's your
yes,
continuous flow of life and love, right? When, especially women, when you say no, oh, do you want my jacket? Can I get you some water? And women have a tendency to say, oh, no, no, no. Like
yes,
women are the nurturers, right? Like,
yeah,
oh, let me take care of you. No, I don't need anything. I'm good. Like, no, you are blocking that each time that you're in that space. Stop that. You stop it and you don't allow that. So be conscious of when you say no to things, you could easily say yes. If someone's offering you something simple like a glass of water or a jacket or something, say yes. Say yes. Keep this continuing flowing. And to me, that was so powerful. It was something that I adopted in my own life, and also I tell my clients and the women that are out there dating to be conscious of that. Because as women, we tend to say like, oh no, I'm okay. That was a big one. And then the other one that I learned there that really took me a long time to get to was the law of detachment. And I'm sure that you can probably speak to this too, but from the dating world, this is how I share, is when you really want something, you're like hyper focused on something, this person or this whatever it is, and you're holding tightly to it. You're constricting, and you are not allowing what could actually happen. And yes, I know for type A women, and there's a lot of them when I work with them, type A women, like, let's get this. I want love, I'm working it, I know here, I'm doing all the right things, whereas I'm holding tightly to it. That is actually working against you when you're holding to it that tightly. That law of detachment, do the work. Like, do. But then the woo over here, we talk about the do and the woo with our event, because both pieces need to be in place if you're going to be successful. So do the work to look for love and watch the tightness. Like, don't be so attached to the outcome or the way it has to happen. Let that go more and let the universe decide how it's going to come to you, because it can be like way bigger than you could ever even imagine.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you a quick story that doesn't have to do with love necessarily, but I just think it's a brilliant story in how the universe can deliver. Is I have a really good girlfriend who had a really hard time getting pregnant. First of all, getting married. She didn't get married until she was in her 40s. She went through a series of not right guy, found the right guy, and then wanted to get pregnant. Couldn't get pregnant. They finally got to a place like, we're just going to adopt.
Yeah.
They had this crazy story come about where they had this teenage girl where they were going to adopt her child. She was across the country, so they were flying in and out for doctor's appointment. They did their nursery. They were so excited. They had the ticket to be there. When she was giving birth, it was a stillbirth. They were devastated. And if you're in that space of, I don't think I'm ever going to feel better. And I think we've all been there. I don't think I'm ever going to feel better. I can feel emotional right now thinking of times that I've said those words to myself. I don't think I'm ever going to feel better. And when you trust, work through that. Obviously, I know you help people work through that, but recognize that you are in that space at that time. What ended up happening for her and her husband was they got a call, 3 kids, 3 siblings, a 2-year-old, an 8-month-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-year-old that were siblings, and the parents couldn't raise the kids and were giving up all 3. They went from, like, there's a bigger plan for you. Like, they could have never imagined that there were 3 sibling souls that were meant for them, right? They were meant for them. And if you stay tight to this, like, I have to have this, I have to have this, you don't allow something that you could never even imagine. You can't even make that up, right?
Yeah.
You can't even imagine that until it happens. So I think that law of detachment is so important. If you think that this is your person, right? You've been dating them, this is my person. You start building a story around it, and you plan out everything in your head, and then it's not. Don't stay stuck there. There's something better that's out there. There's a different plan for you. And find your lessons. Keep those lessons. Let that build you in your own toolbox of who you are and what you want, and trust that the right person is out there and you're becoming the right person for that match. So I like to think of it on levels, right? Where your vibrations. And maybe you've been on a level down here of vibration, and take it all that, and don't stay here when you're in that anger phase, when you're in that, like, you only hurt yourself. And when you can take those and let go and step up to the next level, that's where the magic can happen for you if you're not tied so tightly to it. So I just feel like there's so many lessons along the way, and embrace really that it is a journey. And for people that can't see it yet, right? They just they don't believe it, or they spiral down, bad date after bad date after bad date. Watching your energy. So there's a few things I would say in that case is watching your energy when you go. It's so important to think about how you show up on the first date. And I have a million tools and tips to help you manage, your psychology and being your best self like that. But how you do show up, really, you can just go as, I'm just going to make a new friend. People put all these expectations on themselves, right? To is this my person? People form an impression of someone in 7 seconds, right? That's 7 seconds. If you can just put that aside and say, I'm going to learn something new today. You can learn something new from every single person that you meet. I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to, even if you decide in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, this isn't my person, you can still practice making another person feel good, right? You can go into them and be like, I'm going to make them, make this a good date for them. And practice putting that love out into the world. So if you don't have love yet, which is a lot of people, believe me, I see it all the time. There's so many things that have to go right to find your forever person. But if you don't have love right now, keep putting more love out into the world in tiny ways, right? In tiny ways. And if you go on a date and you're making someone feel good about themselves, that's putting love out into the world, right? There's so many ways to do that. And it's a mindset. That's my belief.
I really love that we're talking about this because one of the things that I work with women when I coach them about overcoming the feelings of rejection and abandonment and opening up to the relationship they dream of having is the feeling of disappointment after first date. So I'm so happy you brought it up. So how do you coach women, men, people after that, but especially women, that first date disappointment because there was this buildup of expectation of I read their profile on paper, they seem amazing, I love the pictures, we had a great conversation, and we meet in person. And I even heard this story the other day. All of this was happening and he reached to touch her hand and she just recoiled, and she was crushed. Of course he was crushed too, but the sense of disappointment, right? The sense of, this is not my person, here I go again, I'm alone and single yet again. So how do you coach people to deal with that?
Yeah, that's more times than not, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a process to even get to the space of having a date, right? So acknowledging that. So I would say, oh gosh, I have so many things to say about this. So I want to back up a tiny bit and say, you, if you do the legwork of being a really good screener, and this comes from my recruiter brain, right? Like, I'm a recruiter, and I know all about online dating, and if you do the screening ahead of time, where you ask the questions, where you ask to see pictures, you can ask to see pictures. You can. I tell women, especially, again, it's everybody, but I say this to women. Um, have a couple pre-screening questions that you ask that are key to you before you go to meet them, right? Because if you value your time, you should be very selective and know yourself. Again, now I'll just tell you mine. I always ask someone what their height is, and I know that they say it online, right? But most of the time, they're not telling the truth. So just verify, right? And if someone gets bent out of shape from that question, then they're showing you who they are, and you save yourself some time, right? Secondly, I ask if they what are their feelings on dogs, because I am a humongous dog lover. My dog is a rescue dog and is my child, my second child, and that I've seen over the years. I've had couples actually break up over the dog. So to me, it's a core value. It's how you raise your children, how your feelings are on pets. And so if they don't like dogs or they're indifferent or they give some kind of a negative statement about it, that's fine. Like, it's no judgment. It's just not right for me because that is a very big core value for me. And I learned that from my last relationship because that relationship did not have it had ups and downs on dogs and how they should be treated. Very painful for me. I had to work on letting go of the fact that I let my dog be treated the way I did when my dog was my kid, and I let him be treated in a way that I felt terrible about.
Yeah.
So I asked that question. And the third thing is I asked if they're familiar with Tony Robbins. Because, number one, if they're not, it's probably not going to be a match because I live and breathe personal development. Now, they don't have to love Tony, they don't have to be a raving fan, but my life centers around personal development, professionally and personally. So if someone says something bad about him, like they have, or they don't get it, or they, diss it in some way, then okay, it's just not a match for me. So I'm not going to take even, an hour to go have a coffee with someone because those are my core beliefs. And I'm going to ask ahead of time because I value my time. So I say, first of all, to anybody doing that, know what are your absolute musts. Mine has to be personal development, that they're telling the truth. You can ask about the age too, because a lot of people don't tell the truth online. Feel free. Do not feel bad about verifying information that someone says on there. Don't feel bad. Ask. And if they get bent out of shape, that's not your person. It's not your person. If you are who you are and you're putting yourself out there and you really want love, put the truth out there. Know who you are, put the truth out there, and don't be swayed to be how someone wants you to be because that's only going to come up later, right? So I want people to find their forever love. I want them to find their match. And in order to have that forever, you have got to know what is who you are. You can't figure that out from somebody else.
I have to ask a question here. This is such an awesome conversation to have with you because I can hear women, right? I can hear women in my head right now. So, on their behalf, I'm asking you this question. So, rather than the dog question, I can hear them say, wait, I want children. So, if I ask, how do you feel about having kids in a family? I can hear women say, but I'm really afraid of sounding desperate, like that woman who feels like I'm on a mission here. Yeah, I want to have a family, but I also want to have I want to also find the right person, right? So I don't want to sound desperate like I'm chasing people away. So I can hear them say, yeah, I prefer not to ask something so significant for me, right? What would you say to that?
Okay, that's a really, really, really good point, and I'm so glad that you asked that. I would not ask that in your pre-screening question.
Okay, okay.
It's too heavy of a subject,
Mm,
and I'm I'm an eternal optimist, so I choose to believe that in the sections on there where they say they have kids, they want kids, whatever, I'm of the belief that they're telling you the truth there,
yeah.
right? So I think that you can scare men away for sure if you're asking that. Like, you don't even know if you want to kiss them. Like, let's not talk about like having kids yet,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I think that that is a very, very important
Mm,
point, and typically people have a strong opinion one way or the other whether they want kids or not. But there are the people that are just middle of the road. Well, maybe if I find the right person, whatever. I think that that middle of the road is a good space to be in because, first of all, I think this is my personal opinion and what I've seen, is first and foremost, is I want to find someone to share my life with that I'm crazy in love with. And I hope we have kids. I want kids. But do you want kids at the expense of not having love in your life?
mm-hmm.
That's just a personal question that you should ask yourself. And I would not ask that in the pre-screening questions. Thank you for saying that. Like that looks it's too heavy. It's too
Mm-hmm.
heavy of a topic, and I don't mean it like heavy. It's a very, very important topic, and you should be absolutely true to your core values on what you want there. But go find that out through the dates.
Yes.
And I wouldn't wait too long. I don't even think on the first date it should be like, so how do you feel about having kids? Like guys have women and men are so different, right? Their brains are so different. Men think so differently, and um, and some men may be like, yes, I'm dying to have kids, but also you don't want to. That doesn't need to be a first date conversation. Just
Mm-hmm.
see if you guys like. See if
Mm-hmm.
you like each other. See if you're having fun. See if you want to see each other again. And that's typically
Yeah.
what I tell people. Like, all I want to know after your first date is, would you like to see him again?
Yes.
That's it. Nothing else. I don't need to know. Like if there's more, great. But all I want to know is, do you want to see them again? Because it takes time to get to know somebody, and people can come with their representative, their best self. They're like, this is how I date, and this is all the right answers. This is how I be, and then there's something else later that you see under times of stress and so forth. Or they can come really nervous, and so you're not seeing who they are because they're nervous, right? So when you put them at ease, then you'll see more of the real self. And so back to your question. So do you want to wrap it up? Is I would not ask that question about kids as your pre-screening questions. Um, but see, I also can say that because I have a kid and I don't want more kids, so it's not something for me. But I know I have a lot of women that are in that phase, like they're in their late 30s, mid to late 30s, early 40s, and they're like, oh my god, I gotta have a kid, and so it feels like it's a very, very intense time, and I see that a lot, and I totally get it. And also, I only have one child, and I was never that girl that, oh, I can't wait to have a kid, I can't wait to have. I wasn't. Like, I'm a career person. I'm, about how do I climb the corporate ladder and how do I make something of myself in the world. And when I got married, I said, okay, I guess we better have kids because that's what you do. My son is the very, very best part of my life, the very best. And I didn't even know it, right? I didn't even know because you can't know until you know, right? Until you experience it. So if you're the person that's like dying to have a child, do not let that go and do not let someone talk you out of that because that could be a very big thing that you will miss out on in life. And I have had even some friends even that have said, well, I don't have a husband, I'm going to have a kid, and they went the path to having a kid, and because you do have this, shorter time frame. I mean, that's just men are at an advantage, women are at a disadvantage in this space, and that just is what it is, right? There's no sense in hemming and hawing about it. It just is what it is. So how do you take your power back, and how do you create a life that you want? And two in particular that I know both went that route, and they both have sons, and are so happy. And now they can step into the dating space, and I know so many men that love if a woman has a child. They want to have a family unit. And again, this is my world, because the men that invest in themselves and invest with me really want love. They want a family. They want that, and so they generally come with a lot of love in their heart, because they want love. And so if a woman has a child, that's an extra blessing to them. So all women should think, like, if you have a child as part of your package of yourself, that's a bonus. Just believe it's a bonus. You're giving more love to the world with yourself and with your child.
This is so important for us to mention, because I have heard women share, my package is not that good of a deal because they have kids. So I'm so happy you are offering this different perspective of no, no, no. There are men out there who love and appreciate that, and who will feel honored to provide for a child and love the two of you, the three of you, the how many of you equally. I love that we are talking about this. Um, I wanna ask you on your thoughts on the dynamic between masculine and feminine energy, because this is such an important energy work to align to as we go into the dating world. So yesterday, I was sitting outside in Venice, here in LA, and I was sitting outside this pizza place having the best slice of pizza ever. So if anybody's looking for the best slice of pizza in LA, email me. I know the place. And so I'm sitting outside on this bench. It's such an awesome, cool experience, and people are passing by. And I'm totally loving the moment, right? Like, this is amazing. And sure enough, this beautiful couple, they were clearly a couple, a young man, a young woman are passing by, and they're holding shopping bags because they've been shopping. And he stops at the window, he looks inside, and he says, oh wait, look at this place, there's dessert here. You can tell the guy is salivating, right? And he's even giving the bags to her and saying, hold on to this so I can go and get some dessert for us. And she stops, interjects in the whole experience, and she goes, no, I don't trust this place. And she literally told him for the two of them to walk away. And my jaw drops in the middle of this whole thing. And I'm like, girlfriend, this is not a way to treat your guy, right? You gotta let him be a man and take decisions. And if the guy wants some pie, let him have his pie. Right? So she totally took over the moment and imposed her decision. And as they're walking away, I was thinking, okay, this will fly once or twice or three times, but how would this man feel long term, not being able to make decisions for himself and being treated like a child, and somebody else telling him how to live his woman that he's supposed to provide for and protect and love and nurture, to tell him how to live his life. So this really stood out in my mind, and I was like, oh, oh, right? So I would love to hear your thoughts on this polarity dance.
And that's a great example of just paying attention to what's going on around in the world. I mean, people that are observing people around you, you just get a lot more from life when you're tapping into those situations, right? And I think that the masculine feminine thing is so interesting and so key. And the Tony Robbins world is very masculine, right? That's the figure it out and do it, and figure out your limits and be your best self and achieve, achieve, achieve. And that world is so important. And it is actually mostly men that go through that. There's a significant amount of women, but it's a lot of men. And then Deepak's world is much more feminine, and it's tapping into your inner knowing and your trusting and all of that. And what I see a lot of, because there's so many successful women in the world, right? Who just are becoming more and more successful. And honestly, like they're fabulous leaders because they can have the compassion hat and the driver hat on. Again, my opinion, this is what I see. And when the women come to the dates, a lot of times they'll come with their work hat on and they're coming in the business mode. I would rather them go on a weekend to go get a coffee or a drink or something because you're not coming from work, hopefully. Or if you are coming from work, that you go home and you change. You don't go straight from work because you're in work mode. And it's so important that energy is leading. Your energy is leading and coming in your masculine. You can't both be masculine. It's not going to work. And somebody has to be masculine, someone has to be feminine. And the strongest women who are total powerhouses applaud you. I love that we have that. And in the dating, you have to let the man be the man. Let him have his masculine energy. So he can take care of you. Back to this, thank you. I'll take your jacket. Thank you. I'll have a glass of water. Thank you for opening my door. Like, I believe if you want a lasting relationship, you have to figure out that balance. So there's going to be times that it's going to swap, right? That you'll have to be strong and then he'll have to be strong, but that you consciously each, women especially, the feminine energy is so powerful, is the most powerful thing ever, just that you have to tap into it. And so that experience, like what you just observed, you're gonna chip away at somebody, little by little, at something like that. And then you're going to end up, and typically when they're chipping away in small spaces like that, you don't really realize that it's happening because it's chipping. And then all of a sudden you're down here and you're like, who am I? Like, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so catching all of that and encouraging each other and being power partners and having fun and light and playful, like women bring that. And I know that men now it's even trickier with our current state of society. Men are more cautious when going on dates, and women set the tone. So if you go in and you're masculine and shake hands and whatever, like, you're setting the tone of that date. You get to choose to set the tone with love. If you come in and you have a smile and you give a hug, and again, even if you're looking at the person going, not my person, I'm not attracted to them before they've even had a word out of their mouth. I get it, that happens. And they may change your mind. Something may say, who they are, how they show up. But women, lead with your feminine energy. Lead with a hug. Lead with a smile. It's the driving of the masculine energy. If the man's got to take the feminine role, and it's going to be a challenge. But it's a consciously committing to that, right? And then when you get into the relationship, that you have a way that you each can. This is why it's so important for me to have someone in personal development, because you have to be able to consciously communicate and say, hey, when I get like that, just point it out, right? Like, you have total my permission to point it out that I'm going down that road, and I'll get it, whatever your code word is. And if they have something like that, no, granted, we don't know the backstory, right? We could have been done this a million times. Who knows what could happen? There's always two sides to every story. But consciously being aware of when you're being too strong and not letting the other person have their joy, right? But if that guy had so much joy to go in there and get this earth form, like, I can tell you a lot of women that would love that kind of response. So that's an interesting one. But I think it's really important for women to know how much they set the tone and to really embrace the feminine side and not passive. I don't mean that in any stretch of the imagination. I just mean powerful feminine energy, and let the man lead. Not all the time, but like I know I see it all the time in tight dates.
I love that you're making this distinction of powerful feminine energy, because it is important, right? We're not encouraging women to be passive and submissive. It's not about that. And I think we women get into the place of controlling and demanding and getting a whole, that tight grip on our partner, on man, on life. because we are looking for ways to learn how to meet our needs, right? It comes from the insecurity of, I don't know how to meet my needs. So let me control the situation so that I know it's going to go in a way that's safe and that meets my needs. And because we were talking earlier about this infinity flow of giving and receiving, how do you teach women to ask for what they need, especially if they're having such a hard time asking, right? Especially if it's not a habit of just normal honoring and sharing.
Right. And so I think what, I'm going to give you a couple examples. I think what's first and foremost is to know what you need. And I'm a huge fan of five love languages. And that has been a game changer. I've taught it 3 times at the Chopra Center, and I've seen it literally change couples. And I'll tell you, for me personally, it's on, I'm sure you know it, Mira, for maybe somebody out there that doesn't know it, it's there, there's 5 love languages: gifts, acts of service, physical touch, quality time, and
Words of affirmation.
yes, words of affirmation. And it's on a 0 to 12 scale. So when you know what you need, and everybody's different, and in my marriage, I, on the 0 to 12 scale, acts of service is a 12 for me, and that's intense. And that's because I'm very busy. And so if someone does something for me, I'm like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. And my ex-husband was gifts. So he would constantly be bringing me things, buying me things, like, and I would be like, stop buying me things. Like, you're wasting our money. I don't need that. But he was giving it to me in the way that he was, right? But I hadn't read the 5 love languages then. So I didn't have the tools back then. So this is why I think it's so important to keep collecting tools and keep collecting tools. And when you know what you need, when I got to the point that I was like, oh, that's what it is. Like, I want someone to do something for me. I don't need words of affirmation. It actually, on the verge of a little bit, makes me uncomfortable because I don't need it. And for me to be able to say to someone, and this, I think, first of all, know yourself, right? And then know your partner, and know what they need, and then be willing to meet each other's needs. But until all my ex-husband probably thought was, what is wrong with you? I'm bringing you presents. The same thing with my ex-boyfriend. Why do you hate my house? This is a multi-million-dollar house. What is wrong with you? So until you know what it is, you can't even express it. So once I got that, I'm like, this is how I am. This is what I learned. Would you take this? Would you be willing to do this too? So then you both can understand each other, and you can express your needs. And I'm going to give you another example. I think a lot of times I'm a big proponent of emotional intelligence. Emotional Intelligence 2.0 is another one of my favorite books. You have to understand your emotions serve you, and you have to not know you have to know what triggers you, so you don't spout off and let something ruin something that could be something great, right? So one time I was we were at a birthday party with a bunch of people, and I was there with my boyfriend at the time, and this one girl kept flirting with him, and he was like talking to her, and I was watching the whole thing unfold, and I was getting really mad, and I was like, okay, so I can either let this boil over, I can ruin this party, I can, be bitchy about it, or I can go up and say something right now about how I feel in a very emotional, mature way. And so I just went over and I just said, in the middle of the party, I'm like, I don't like the way that girl looks at you, and I need you to pay more attention to me. He's like, oh, okay. And like, that was it. The whole situation was averted, crisis averted. But you have to, number one, be aware of what it is, speak it, and then have the person respect you and take action, right? So that situation in and of itself, it could have been a disaster, and for most people it probably would.
Oh, yeah.
You're blaming the girl, alcohol's involved now, like, this is going on, you go home mad, you don't say anything, you just boil over, you should know what's the matter with me, and all those situations happen. But if you are deciding, this is a relationship, I'm going to be mature, I know what I need, I know what's bothering me, and I'm going to express it, okay, there you go. And it works beautifully. You have to have the tools, right? You have to have the tools. So it's a constant, and they're tools your entire life. It's not like you just get them and now you're ready. Like, you're going to be getting them all along. It's a process of evolution from now till forever. You keep evolving. And so you need someone that will evolve with you, because if you had a person, if I had said that to somebody that didn't receive what I was saying, then it would have been a fight, right?
Yeah.
But I had it with somebody that respected me and heard me in the moment and instantly changed. And a lot of times I do think men have a lack of awareness of how the female's interpreting you, because we are emotional beings, right? And so I'm creating this story around what I'm watching happening, blaming him, blaming her, all of this. Like, so you got to just nip it, right? And be aware and step into that space. So I think the very, very most important thing is to understand what your needs are, so you can express them, and express them in a way that someone else hears them, right? It's all, and timing is everything in what you're saying, and not being, and expressing it from a place of kindness, and that this relationship means a lot to me. I'm committed to making this work. I want to meet your needs, and I want to be able to share what I need. Can we do that? And then make sure when you're spewing what you need, not spewing, wrong word, when you're sharing what you need, but then after you do that, then your question can be, what can I do for you?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be reciprocal. You can't go into it and say, this is what I need, I. I always tell people, pay attention to how many times in a conversation you say I or me. Because it's not about just you. It's about them. And whatever you're asking for, you better be willing to give.
Mm-hmm.
So take whatever you need, and then make sure at the end you ask, what can I do to make your day better? What can I do to make you happier? What am I missing that maybe I don't know that I'm missing?
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Truly amazing. I can see how when people work with you, they really change their lives. I can only imagine how much more wisdom there is where this one comes from. And I'm excited to talk in a moment how you can contribute and teach the tools that we're going to be teaching during our Bullseye Love experience. But for now, I really am dying to ask you, what is the love story of a client that you're most proud of? Somebody who you really were able to get to the place of being with their soulmate, and you look back and you say, we did good work here.
Yes, there's a bunch, obviously. And I've had marriages, and I've had babies, and I've had turning points. What makes me the happiest, though, is not necessarily like going to the wedding and saying, I found these two people. That, I love that, believe me. But it's much, much more about helping someone see who they are, and and feel really confident in themselves, and then they go out and they find the right person. The thank you notes that I get, I mean, I keep them because they're sentimental to me, and saying that they found their person, and it wasn't even somebody that I introduced them to. It was what they learned about themselves along the way, that then they were able to bring the right person in, because there's absolute truth to where you're vibrating, and all of that comes from how you're showing up and how well you know yourself. And when you can up a level that, someone can come in that you never even would have thought they would come in, right? So it's those times that I'm most proud of. I'm going to tell you one quick story. This is, I just have so many guys that do exceptional things. Like, because they're so committed to finding their person. And it's not, I know there's all the horrors of the dating online and all these, people that are not serious and all of that. There's some really good men out there too. And one of my very favorite stories, a client of mine, who I adored, and he had only been on 2 dates with this girl, and she was flying out of town. And he literally called the airport, found her flight and everything, upgraded her from her seat to first class without telling her. He had been on 2 dates with her. And she calls me afterwards. She's like, oh my God, Traci, like, look what he did. And it is that you're looking at thoughtfulness, right? You're looking at, like, do you want to go through life with somebody like this? And that's typically what I tell people to ask themselves, and look at others. Like, is this someone you would want to go through life with? Does this person bring out the best in you? Questions are what helps you get to a place of having the life that you want to have. And when you're in something, my personal belief is, if it doesn't flow, let it go. I'm a big fan of mantras. If you are in a relationship that just it's content this. If it doesn't flow, let it go. Back to this. When you won't have to talk to anything, but when you are on the right path, it will flow. And if you're looking at this constant this, that is not probably not bringing out the best in you, and that is probably not your person. And keep being the best you that you can be, so you can attract that in. But you have to commit first and foremost. If you want love, first and foremost, everything has to be, are you that? And so when I have this guy who's putting her to first class, I'm like, those are the kinds of things that touch my heart. Those people that do special things, that are thoughtful, that surprise the other person, and that just like your life is better because that person's in it. You know, they're helping you grow, and they're supporting you, and they're there in the good days and the bad days. Like that is what life's all about. And I think a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck in a bad relationship. They get stuck in a relationship that they're indifferent about, and then they get stuck in fear to even go out into the dating world because it's been so long and they don't know what to do, and they've convinced themselves that there's no good people out there. That is not the case. There's a lot of good people out there, and you have to be super careful of the circle that you surround yourself with, because if you're surrounding yourself with people that are like, oh, dating is terrible, and what is the story you're telling yourself? You have to be really careful about that. Again, one of the reasons, and Mira and I are going to talk about this, that we are doing the Bullseye Love experience, is because that circle, the circle of supportive people that come with love, is priceless. It is. I personally have always had a really good group of girlfriends, and women are at an advantage at times because you can tell your girlfriends everything. You can cry about the same thing 10 days in a row and they'll listen to you. And if you don't have that circle, you tend to be at a disadvantage. And I think a lot of people get it if work is going, or if you've been divorced and now you're back out and your friends are all married, or there's a lot of reasons that you don't have that. The support is a must. It's a must.
So very true. And that's really one of the things that we're offering people in this Bullseye Love experience, right? The sense of community and girlfriend sisterhood, right? That's really a better word for it. Let's talk about what do we have prepared, what we have prepared for people.
Yeah, for sure. So Bullseye Love Experience is it's actually 2 months of coaching with me, with Mira, and with Taylor. And it's for single women searching for love. And it's so symbolic right now, right? It's such a powerful time. I mean, 2020, it's going to be 2020 on January 1st. Like, that's perfect vision, right? 2020.
Yes.
And what I see a lot is January and February are my busiest months, because January, everyone's making a New Year's resolution. I'm finding love. This year, I am finding love. Those are just words until you actually do something to take action, right? And I know very well from all my Tony Robbins work, you need to do the work. So if we intentionally did this at the end of the year now, so with 2 months, with the three of us, with Mira and Taylor and me, with 2 months of that, you're going to get through. You're going to have a plan. You're going to go when January 2020 comes along, you're going to be like, I am strong, I am clear, I am putting the right thing out there, and I have a plan of action. Other than just like everybody scrambling, holidays, you're going through the holidays, I don't have anybody, I don't have every family's asking when are you going to get married, all of that goes on at the holidays. You don't have anybody for the Christmas parties, whatever, the holiday parties. You can be working now that you're in a powerful state in January when you say, I'm going to find love. You've done the work. So, and you still have a little bit more time after that. So, in my opinion, the reason we do this is because we all bring something different to the table. And together, again, I'm such a believer in the collective power, the collective energy. And when you have three experts that you put together that all bring different perspectives, I mean, Taylor and I are East Coast, West Coast. Mira's also West Coast, with an even like I love your skill set. I'm obsessed with it. I don't have it, but I'm obsessed with it. And we can come together to truly help women. I think all three of us come from the place of like, we weren't given all these tools to just do one person at a time. And how that just isn't, it's not contributing at the level you should be contributing, and that's also my belief that that's why we're put on this earth. So it is for single women, and to create the bond first, we're doing 2 days together. 2 days together in LA, Mira's neck of the woods. I'm in San Diego, and 2 days at Wanderlust in Hollywood, and so you can get to know each other, right? You're making this little tribe, this little sister circle, and we use the bullseye as an example of all the rings that are around preventing you from finding love, right? Here's the middle, and here are all the things that you've built around it, and it's a really hard little target right here. So we want you to hit the target.
Yes.
We want you to hit the target, and we want to share what we have. And one of my very favorite things that we're going to do is we have a panel of men, of really high caliber, quality single men. And they are all willing to be raw, to share, to say, here's what I see out there, here's what I look for, here are my dating do's and don'ts, these are the signs of a keeper. I think that women think they know how men think, but they don't necessarily know. Men think one way, women think they know. Like, we want to bridge that gap. And you can ask them. They have all agreed to say, like, all right, I'll sit up there, I'll answer questions, I'll give insight. And I get a lot of insight because I have my men clients, and I work with them for at least a year. So I know what's going on in their brain. But it's one thing to hear it directly from the men. And to ask your questions, like, why do men show up like this? Why does this happen? What are you thinking when that happens? You get to ask them.
For me, this panel is so incredibly exciting. I cannot wait. I know that I'm going to hear so much and learn so much, and it's going to contribute so much to my own personal life and relationships and everything else, right? That's just a small piece of everything else we're bringing and giving women. So I'm excited for everyone who feels that call in her heart and it says, oh my God, these three women are speaking, meaning you, me, and also Taylor. They're speaking to my heart. I know that they will be able to help me unlock and move right through all those rings, right into my center. I love the symbology that you described. And really, really step into the magic and truly with joy and magic in my heart. I create, I experience, I manifest the relationship I dream of. And so I invite everybody who has any more questions to reach out to me, to reach out to you, to go on the Bullseye. Is it the, or is it just Bullseye Love Experience? So just Bullseye Love Experience, and sign up for it there, get more information. On my website, I also have a link. I have a link directly to the Eventbrite page. That's why I wonder, was it the or was it without the D? And so I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for those of you who will feel the call, hear the whole call of their soul, and show up and play with us, right? Show up and play in a bigger way they've ever done before. And so I would love for you to share anything in parting words, anything you want women to remember, anything.
I just think it's really important to remember that it is worth it. It's so worth it. And it can be a struggle. It can be like feel insurmountable at times. And the things that can get you through is baby steps. If you focusing on my marriage and my kids and my life, like scale all that down. Like, you want to be in love, you don't know exactly how it's going to happen, and you're going to take steps. You're just going to take incremental steps. And going on a date, saying, I'm going to make a new friend, having a first date outfit that you know you feel great in, and you wear it to every single first date because you know you're walking in with confidence, great. Baby steps, right? Baby steps. This circle and what we're doing, I feel like it's not a baby step. I feel like it's a big step. But if you really, really want it, like, all the people that are there really want it. And there's nothing more powerful than your circle. There's not. I wouldn't have gotten through many pieces of my life without my circle. And there's studies behind it, on happiness. If you how they live longer, they're happier. It is your circle. So commit to that. And if you say, okay, 2 days together and 2 months to find this in my life, learn from other people. You don't have to stumble every step of the way. You will stumble. But you don't have to take the long road. You can take the short road. It'll be your own road with its own hiccups. But you don't have to take the long road. There's people that can help.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of things to share. And I am so excited. Like, I personally am so excited to share it group. It's totally my passion, and it's our first time doing this, and we hope to make this like a regular thing. But we feel really, really strongly that we can help. Find people that can help. It's so worth it. It's just worth it. Don't forget that it's worth it. Find the love stories out there and read them. There's not a whole lot. Like, whatever, again, what you're putting in your head is how you feel. So keeping that ongoing of it's worth it.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. I so loved our conversation and everything I learned from you, everything you shared. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for everything we're creating together and for people who are listening to join us. And for now, I'm just so grateful for you, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Mira. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.